I'm Catharine Fennell, I'm the CEO of videoBIO, and I think I saw a couple of you earlier today. Today I want to talk to you about creating an amazing corporate identity video. And you've actually seen some pretty incredible examples today already, so there's lots of tools and approaches creatively that you've witnessed, and I'm going to add a few to the list. But in today's session, what I want to cover with you is where to start in terms of corporate identity brands, building brands and brand extensions, user-generated video techniques, production techniques, and creative approaches. So, obviously it's a very broad topic, and when you talk about corporate identity videos, I said earlier that there's not really one hit wonder anymore. It used to be that, a company would invest a certain amount of money every year in creating their corporate identity video. And now what it is you're going to have a whole multitude of videos that are going to inform and embody what your corporate brand is really all about. So don't think about it being just one video. Think about creating a series of videos and doing it fairly regularly. You want to be doing refreshing your video at least annually, and you want to be creating video content that doesn't give you a shelf life as well, right? So when you've got something out there, you want it to feel like it lives and breathes over a period of time. So that's the error that some people make. I mean, it's great for us from an editing standpoint because we get to go back in and do more work on the video, but people will create videos and they'll timestamp it with something that people will identify with a certain year or a certain month. So you want to kind of avoid those sorts of things. So where to start? You've heard this a lot today, but who is your audience? How do you best want to connect with them? And what do you want them to do after watching the video? So that's that whole call to action conversion piece, which often people kind of miss in the translation. And so the other thing I want to talk about as well is the length of video that you want to be looking at. We get that type of question all the time. So depending on what the goals of your video are is going to inform how long that video is going to be. Generally speaking, the first 10 seconds of that video is make it or break it time. And we don't like to produce videos now that are any longer than 2 minutes. It used to be even 5 years ago that it would always be a 3-minute video. That was sort of the formula. But we're living this attention deficit disorder culture with instant gratification, and people really want to know, what is this all about? What am I going to get out of it? So unless people come to a video with the intention of actually it being a learning segment, you're going to lose them fairly quickly after that kind of 1-minute mark. So you want to make sure you kind of front load all of that important content so that you don't get that drop off. So the other thing is, if you will, we could put it into two categories. One is corporate brands, and the other is employment brands. Now, obviously, under corporate brand, you could have multiple levels and layers of is it solutions, products, product releases, corporate announcements, various other things that could fall under that corporate brand. You're also going to have marketing videos and your, agency videos and what have you. And then employment brand, you're going to have a variety of different recruitment-related videos, talent attraction videos, and those cultural videos. One of the biggest trends in employment brand is really about fit. And so what we're seeing is that companies are looking at ways to articulate what their corporate culture is more effectively, and then be able to close the gap between our corporate culture and the kinds of people that we're going to attract. So that means that it's really important as an employer that you want to be able to clearly articulate in your video what that corporate culture is. We saw some of that in the earlier presentation, which I thought was really effective, because when I watched that video example, I thought to myself, well, I really feel something here. I'm getting the feeling that this is a happy place to work, right? And there was it was a very homogeneous kind of approach in terms of the way they delivered that message. And so, if that's the one thing you get across with the video, that's probably a really good outcome. Also, just before I leave this, in terms of corporate brand, you're going to have things like your corporate brand style guidelines. And that's really important. You hear about the brand police and everything else, and some of you may be the keepers of that brand within your organizations. That's really essential. But what we are starting to see is that you can ladder off that brand in different ways. So you may have that corporate style guide, but you may start creating a different genre of videos over here, back to the whiteboard or video style. There may be different styles and production approaches for video, depending on what it is, what the message is, and what you're trying to get across. So really important, and really the whole essence of what I want to talk to you about today is this idea of driving engagement, being memorable, leaving people with an impression, driving a conversion, and also how to do more with less. Because those are the big themes that we're hearing right now. Because you're creating more video content, you probably have budgetary considerations that you need to be thinking about. So that's what I'm going to highlight as we go through some of these video examples that I'd like to show you. So user-generated video, you've heard a lot about that today. I want to take this YouTuber example, if you will indulge me. And we're going to have some fun with this, a little bit silly, but that's probably apropos for this time of the day. You all have your various different YouTube channels, I'm sure, that you subscribe to and follow. I just want to illustrate a few different ones that are really, again, very fun, but I want to use them as case studies and examples. So who here is familiar with Glozell? Okay, so absolutely hilarious, crazy, nutty gal. If you look at her subscribers here, you can see that she's got 3 million plus subscribers, but her individual, videos range from, 45,000 views, in excess of millions of views. This is one of many YouTube sensations that are just real everyday people who started out creating videos, homegrown videos, using, in many cases, just your handycam at home or your mobile phone, and sort of focused in on a particular area. What makes YouTube channels successful is really making a connection with the generational audience, injecting humor, and really that whole relatability factor, right? So you're looking at this everyday people turning themselves into incredible sensations. The other thing that's important to look at with YouTube is that it's monetized. I mean, this has created passive income streams for these people where they can, generate a video a day, a video a week, and they can actually be generating income not only on the ads that they're running on these YouTube channels, but also they've turned their success into a fan base, and they've turned that fan base into other opportunities. So now Glozell, for instance, has many sponsors because she has amassed such a fan base who come to her and say, hey, we'll be your sponsor, will you plug our particular product in your videos? So that's really the power of this fan base and these followers. So I think that's important in terms of conversion. So I'm going to show you really quick Glozell video just so you know who she is. But you can see her use of hashtagging in her videos as a way to get people to talk about her in a social media context. So let's go to Glozell for a second here.
Because I'm low.
Sorry.
It's not me! It's not me! It's not me! I don't even know them! Oh, no! Oh, they're drinking! Girl, I can't believe you did that! Tell me what happened, child. Tell me what happened! You need to keep your dress down and your drawers up, girl.
The fact that you're a little bit full and a little bit sleepy. Let's see.
Glozell, what she does is she does really stupid challenges, okay? So someone will say, send her a note and say, hey, would you do a cinnamon challenge? How much cinnamon can you put in your mouth without, throwing up kind of thing? And then she'll be basically asked to do this, and she'll do these crazy challenges, and it's really, really hysterical. If you haven't seen them, I really highly recommend you go and check out Glozell because she's absolutely hysterical. So the next one I want to talk about is Miranda Sings. Okay, so Miranda is another woman who is actually a lyric and singing coach. And so she doesn't even do this for a living. She's a singing vocal coach to some of the top artists out there. And she just spawned off this other kind of side interest, and she does this crazy lipstick thing all the way around her mouth. And then she talks in this really crazy, funny voice. And what I'm sharing with you might seem trite right now, but it's actually developed this unbelievable following. So you can see in her case, she has, over 2,000,006 subscribes. And again, in this particular video, she has over 4 million views. So just to give you a taste of Miranda Sings.
Some of my favoriteest clothes for my fashion line for you. So here you go. Here we have a lovely Haters Back Off t-shirt. It even has my signature on it, so it's worth probably billions of dollars. So. Here we have a nice I Love My Uncle shirt. This is a fun one. I really love it. Here we have my Haters Back Off sweatpants on the booty. I love these sweatpants. They're fun to dance in. And they're just really nice to move around.
Okay, so Miranda Sings, her audience is girls in their teens, right? Tweens and high teens. And she's obviously a little bit crude and crass. And this brand that she's developing and putting out for the market is absolutely polar opposite to what she does for a living. So it's a really, really interesting exercise. She also has spawned off a whole new line of, you can see, very high fashion apparel to go along with that. Now, I'm sure all of you know, even if you're not even of this, I have 2 children in this generation, but Bethany Mota is extremely successful, and she's probably one of the biggest sensations in this genre. She's created a new apparel line for Aeropostale, as an example, and various other retailers. And Bethany Mota has really amassed an incredible following, as well as an incredible sponsor base. And one of the things that she does is her favorite things. And I want to show you just a little snippet from her talking about her favorite things. So everything that she talks about in here, is, of course, you can see is
hey peeps!
Sponsored.
First off, this is not my room because I'm in Taiwan right now. Although I'm a little jealous because this place is actually cuter than my room. Okay, so here we go. First thing I've been loving for the month of May. These are caramel koalas because when I was in Australia, I got so many of these from you guys. I got a bunch of gifts from you guys, and pretty much every gift included Tim Tams or caramel koalas or both. Next thing, masks. I never used to use any type of facial masks or anything like that.
So you may be asking yourself, why am I showcasing these various different YouTube sensations? But if you look at this, what can we learn from these people? First of all, how is she talking to camera? Do you notice some of the language she's using? You guys? Do you notice that she's talking through the camera to her audience? Like, she's actually brilliant at making a direct connection with her viewers. You don't even realize that there's a camera in front of her. I mean, she's sitting in a bedroom here somewhere, filming herself, and she's actually, this is, again, these millennials coming up in the next generation who are very, very comfortable with expressing themselves. So the reason I wanted to show you this is because we need to be able to take from this, learn from that, and be able to get comfortable in the way that we articulate ourselves to camera in the way that they're doing it. The other is, when you think about this in terms of your brands, who is the spokesperson for your brand? Who will be the spokesperson for your brand? If we're talking about everyday people, if we're talking about employees, who within your organization can you identify that has some of these characteristics, that is going to be relatable, someone who's going to be very comfortable in front of the camera, and somebody who's going to embody the characteristics of your brands? Because what we're seeing now is that the spokespeople of today's brands are the employees that are walking within the organization, the walls. So, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples of projects that we've done with very big companies where they've actually used their employees as their actors. Just before I do that, I'd like to talk about the Ice Bucket Challenge as one more example of a very, very successful campaign. So who in the room here is familiar with the Ice Bucket Challenge? Right, okay. So why is it that the Ice Bucket Challenge is successful? Social, absolutely, yeah. Why else? Cause, exactly, yeah. Now, there's one other key element to it that's tied to the social that they do within the Ice Bucket Challenge, which is the nomination element. And the nomination is obviously tied to the pass-along factor. But essentially what you're doing is you're daring somebody, you're asked to identify one or two people within this particular scenario that's going to do it. So you've got this global effect. This may be somebody that's living in the city or someone that doesn't even know who you are. So if you think about the success of the Ice Bucket Challenge, again, it's going back to all of those elements that you want to be thinking about in creating dynamic and engaging videos, not only like corporate videos, but also video campaigns. And this has got it's got the wow factor, it's got the ability to engage people all around the world, it's got people feeling tied to a cause and that they want to do something because it's important. So those are some of the things that you want to be thinking about when you're looking at creating campaigns and videos that represent your brand. Okay, so now I'm going to show you one of my favorite videos that's absolutely hilarious. I realize that humor is spelt with the U, which is the Canadian way, if you're wondering about that, so I'll just get rid of that. And so connections with humor. I mentioned this morning when I was presenting on a different topic, the importance of humor and viral videos, and that humor is actually very, very difficult to do. I'm going to show you a video that had wildly successful results, and it's absolutely hilarious. And the whole thing was shot, 95% of it was shot in a green screen environment. Has anyone seen the potpourri? Yeah, okay.
I used to hate pooping in public. You know the feeling.
Nothing is worse than stinking up the shared toilet at work, or the toilet at a party, or your lover's apartment.
Of course, flushing removes the graphic evidence. Maybe 2 or 3 flushes if your skid marks are as tenacious as mine. But what can be done of that subtle scent of a
300-cow dairy farm? Aerosol air fresheners aren't the most effective option, or the healthiest. Trying to mask the stench, giving you a nice blend of ChemLab carnations with just a touch of feces. So, how do you make the world believe your poop doesn't stink? Or in fact that you never poop at all? Poopery. Poopery is the before-you-go toilet spray that is proven to trap those embarrassing odors at the source and save relationships. Simply spritz poopery in the bowl to create a film on the water's surface that actually traps the odours in their porcelain prison. And when your little astronauts splash down and make contact with the film, they release poopery's pleasant aromas, so all those around you can smell as a refreshing bouquet of essential oils. Yes, it is a real product. And yes, it really works. We've sold over 4 million bottles. On Amazon alone, there are over 1,000 reviews rating it 4.8 of 5 stars. That's a better Amazon rating than the iPhone 5. If it doesn't completely stop your stench from spreading, send it back for a full refund. Our unconditional stink-free guarantee. If your poo stinks, click here to get your poopery today at poopery.com. So whether you need to pinch a loaf at work, cut a rope at a party, or lay a brick at your boyfriend's, your days of embarrassing smells or prairie dogging it are over. Poopery. Our business is to make it smell like your business never even happened.
So, oh, I should hide that so you can't see before I ask the question. So this was very, very well done. And when I was talking about length of video, My only critique of that video was that it's actually a little bit long. So how long do you think that was? 2 minutes. Right, 2 minutes. Isn't that unbelievable? When you think about it, how much you can actually say in 2 minutes, and we all felt like this went on a little bit long. I think they could have cut that down to a minute and been just as effective, if not more. But what was great about it is, obviously brilliant script, it was an actor, and the delivery was excellent, but they did it on a very low cost budget as well. So it wasn't the kind of thing that really broke the bank. As I said, most of it was shot, one shot with green screen and introducing different backgrounds in. So think that is a great example of using humor. They had animation, and they had great product placement and features. So there's a lot of really interesting things going on with that particular video. Before I show you a couple of other examples getting into more employees as actors, I just wanted to share with you this statistic, which really just talks about the importance of incorporating visuals into your video. So, we talked earlier about having editors that could integrate motion graphics, that could keep things moving and keep things enhanced, where you have cutaways and color blocking and various other techniques. So if your goal is to be memorable, going back to one of those key principles, you want to be able to keep things moving. You want to keep things interesting and dynamic, and incorporating those motions and various other graphics to help reinforce, and text on screen to reinforce, will really help people to stay engaged and to be memorable. So the next segment I want to share with you is really about meeting the people behind the brands. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of CEO profiles that we like. Employee testimonials, I think you've seen quite a few of those. I really liked the presentation just before us, talking about user-generated video and using that mobile app as a way to capture that video in a really authentic way. As well as employees as actors. So I'm going to start with employees as actors, and I'm going to give you a couple of setups for this. So one of our clients is PricewaterhouseCoopers, and they do a lot of work in the training and onboarding and development area. And they've really committed to video in a big way organizationally. And one of the things that is exciting about working with them is that they really want to make this as real as possible by bringing their own employees into the videos. And so we've had a lot of fun with them over the last 3 years, shooting at various different locations. It's fun because the employees, they're an accounting firm, and so their day-to-day work isn't necessarily the most exciting and fun. So their opportunity, so it's more than just the fact that they're a part of the production. They actually get to contribute and do something really fun in their day and in their week. So they had a great time doing it, and the results have been absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of things that we've done with them. Just going to scooch ahead here. So the first one is in the recruiting area, and it's an instructional video teaching students who may become employees of PricewaterhouseCoopers, teaching them how to be effective in an interview and how to be not effective in an interview. So everyone you see here is California-based PwC employees.
Hi, I'm Amy, and I'm a recruiter with PwC. I'd like to welcome you to amp up your interview experience. It's no secret that the job market is pretty tight, and there are more job seekers, more qualified job seekers than there are jobs. That can be a pretty scary thought. But don't worry, I'm here as your personal guide to help you soar through the interview process and get you to the destination of your choosing. My goal today is to share some tips with you on how you can stand out by being yourself, your best self, through the interview process. So here's my plan. I'm going to take you behind the scenes to a fictitious interview, and more importantly, what interviewers might think before, during, and after your discussion. So come with me.
heard Mark's welcome and then briefly saw the team in action.
So just to finish off that last clip before we move into this next one, she goes through that interview scenario and the before and after. Obviously, he showed up a little bit disheveled. She was not impressed. She was thinking, wow, this guy's got a 3.93 GPA. He's going to be fantastic. And so this was used as an instructional tool to say, hey guys, we're interviewing you, right? Bring your best self to the interview. Here's how to put forward the best first impression in an interview environment. And those, again, were all employees. And the delivery of that was really, really fun. And the students who are onboarding with PwC absolutely loved this video. We brought in teleprompters. We worked with them on their script in advance, and we teach them how to read from a teleprompter. And the second scene there was a little bit more complicated because we had over-the-shoulder shots, two cameras going on. It was a little harder to use the teleprompter in the interview scenario, so they actually memorized their lines, and we shot it in short chunks. But again, it was really, really fun. So this is moving into another instructional video with PwC that's setting up a boardroom environment in terms of how to behave in a boardroom meeting. And so this is, again, an employee. We shot her on green screen, and she was the host of the video doing the setup. So this is Anwisha.
Question before you go on.
Yeah.
So in the video you showed previous to this one, the woman, how much time did you spend with her? I mean, I can still feel some angst from that video.
Yeah.
She's swallowing hard. There's some.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
So, but she still came across pretty well. So how
Yeah.
much time did you spend with her?
So that's a great question. We did 2 briefing calls with her in terms of getting her comfortable with the content. She reviewed the content on her own, and then the whole video was shot on one day on site with our crew there. And so not an awful lot of time, probably over the course of 4 hours that segment was shot, and she had about maybe 5 or 7 retakes. So, at the setup for that, there was probably about half an hour of working on coaching to teleprompter and reading. Yeah, so she did a great job, but again, the goals for them were a little bit less stringent than they would have been in another environment, right? So we wanted, they are actors. We're sharing the fact that they are actors, employees are actors, and so it wasn't as if, it was an environment where the client had really, really high expectations. They were absolutely thrilled with that delivery because they felt that even that little bit of discomfort was still over the top.
Well, actually, that was kind of where I was headed because if you obviously when you look at the YouTube videos, they're very personal, right?
Yeah.
Because it's them talking.
Yeah.
They're not reading a teleprompter. They haven't been scripted.
Right.
Whereas you're trying to get a message across, so you almost always are going to have a script of some kind. And you did a pretty good job of getting it as if she was talking to you without having a script.
Yeah.
I probably have more of an eye because we know this.
Yes, you do. I can.
Your client probably did. And that's why I was curious about that. Did you do any pre-reads with the teleprompter or was on set the first time?
It was only on set, yeah. And in fact, that's the way we shoot all the time. So we don't ever do any pre-sessions in coaching with teleprompter. It's always, 20 minutes to half an hour leading up to the shoot. So yeah, you're right. You could see a little bit of that eye shift in a couple of segments and the breath here and there.
Well, and that, it probably made more difference to me because you showed the YouTube stuff before, right?
Yeah.
So thinking that kind of presentation, which like I said, I thought came across pretty well, considering it was an employee.
Right.
And I'm sure your customer was very happy because I've seen a lot worse.
Yes, well, and she's also looks like an actress, doesn't she? She's a very beautiful woman. So, so we were really impressed with how she came across. And just in terms of formula, again, in the way we shot that, she probably got about 5 to 7 takes, so we took best takes.
Do you ever have a situation when you tell your client that the person they want to put on camera is not going to work?
Yes, yeah, in fact, all the time. And that's always a very difficult conversation to have because you are dealing with people as opposed to actors. It's a lot easier to say this actor's not going to work, right, when you're doing casting. But what we did is we worked with the client on sourcing. So we said this is the character we're looking for. This is their communication style. They need to be very comfortable. We did a little bit of testing with them. And then we were also very open with them in terms of what our goals were. So we wanted to make sure we were finding someone that thought this would be a fun opportunity and that wasn't scared to have a new experience. And that we also did say that we had the right to, in the testing, veto them. And that was difficult. We left that for the client to do, obviously, not for us. But we had to do that because there's a certain standard, obviously, that we had to hit in terms of what we wanted to achieve with the video, because there's still instructional videos. So this is Anwisha, a different shoot, boardroom scenario.
I bet you had a strong impression of each person by simply observing them. I know Pam well, and she is a very relaxed and laid-back partner. She trusts her team and sits back to give them time and space to figure things out on their own. If you didn't know Pam before this meeting, you might have formed a different impression by observing her. I bet the way she was casually munching on her snack, it made you think she was a bit distracted and disinterested. I have also worked with Mark before, and he is very action-oriented and laser-focused on results. In this meeting, I noticed that he focused most of his attention on Pam, since she is the decision maker. This may have made him seem like he was not interested in being a team player and that he was playing the politics as he focused on his own agenda. Smooth.
So this is really interesting because it's teaching about team dynamics, business acumen in a business meeting environment, as well as body language. And this was really, really effective because, you know, again, I love this client for the reason that they really invest in very specific things, even down to very, you know, how to handle yourself in this situation. The next one I'm going to show you is how to handle yourself having a dinner with a client and with social media. So these are all part of their onboarding series when they bring on new hires, as well as training within the organization as people move up the ranks. And then this is the one where they're actually training on how to behave in a restaurant environment with the client.
Smoothly entering and exiting a conversation is key. When approaching a group that's in mid-conversation, politely walk up and wait to be acknowledged and brought into the discussion.
My friend had this event. I promised I'd go for one drink, but you know how that goes. Service was slow.
And did you notice Michael's reaction? His classic eye rolling was in full effect, and he seemed to disengage from the conversation when Samantha walked up, which was disrespectful to his teammate. You should always treat others with respect.
So that's, you know, at the end of it, we summarized, obviously, and what the points were that were being highlighted in that particular segment. We shot her on green screen as the host, and then we overlaid that in the actual scenario, and then we used the colorization technique to be able to highlight the individuals that we were speaking about in that particular instance. So, and again, the team had a lot of fun creating that because we got to take over a restaurant and a bar for a few hours to do the shoot, and it was a great experience overall. There's one other video along those lines that I wanted to share with you. What's interesting about this one, again, this is campus recruiting related. This is an actor that we hired. And we actually did over 60 shot setups this day, in one day. We had him in various different costuming, and we were shooting indoor, outdoor, in multiple different locations. And so he was playing the role of a student going through the process of being recruited by PwC.
I started to think about putting pen to paper on my resume and bio. Those are the tools that can help get your foot in the door. They can help you tell your story and share what makes you unique. I wanted to highlight the best parts of me. I wanted these tools to share who I am, not just what I've done. When my resume and bio were in the bag, I decided it was time to move online. I learned that Facebook wasn't just for sharing with my buddies. I began thinking about what I'm posting there, who's seeing what, and what do they think of me. Since I was ready to go pro, I went to LinkedIn. That's where you can hang with the people who are hiring and start to build your professional network. Now, so what should I do? I need to tap into my greatest strengths, things that I love to do, and find my own way. Gotta get some direction. So where do I start? I can't do this alone. I need some feedback. What do other people see in me? What do they think are my greatest strengths, and what makes me unique? My friends and family mean well, but there has to be more to it than that. I need to expand my network. I need to focus on what I really want to do and what I have to offer. So here I am. I'm ready to get serious about what's next.
So that particular segment I showed you was part of a bigger video that had a lot more live in it, but what that showed you was the voiceover. So in that day, we did about, as I said, over 60 shot setups. We did a whole voice track that was done separately, and we took a lot of photography as well, and we intercut everything. Our vision coming into it was very different in terms of what ended up coming out with the client. So you saw that there was, the text on screen was tied in with their brand guidelines. There's a lot of instances where they wanted to end up using photography where we wanted to use live footage. And that's always sort of the give and take with a client where they have their objectives and the creative team internally and how they want to see that ultimately delivered. And so it was a really, really jam-packed day full of a lot of fun and a lot of shooting. So the next video I want to show here is a company out of California, is a client of ours called Beyond B School. And I won't run it too long, but I just want to show you again a different motion graphic video, which is very effective in getting the objectives across for this particular client. So this is not any live footage, with the exception of a couple pieces that were integrated.
Imagine, finally, resources, actionable insights, and practical guidance from today's top experts in the business field, served online and on demand to your MBAs, exactly when they need it, giving them the competitive edge in the career world and sharpening their game. Top experts, anytime, anywhere.
We're also huge proponents
so that
of social
was all,
innovation.
Motion graphics, so there was no animation there, maybe just a touch. That technique where you saw the things sliding by, that's using the cover flux application. But that, and that was a hired voice for that particular segment. So that was entirely done as an edited piece, and it was all built from ground up from a branded style guide. And we sourced and built all of those graphics. And then there was a couple pieces where we pulled in some video. This is one of the company videos that we have done for Deloitte out of the innovation area. I just want to show you a couple seconds of this one that's going to, it intercuts in a few different, using a few different techniques. We'll talk about that.
Bringing people together in new and amazing ways to serve our community.
We took 2 different countries, we took 3 different regions, and we took 50 people. And we poured all of that into 1 week of an unbelievable adventure. 3 days of building and 2 days of an incredible conference where we combined social innovation to become this amazing Deloitte Habitat adventure.
We're building eminence in the marketplace and expanding our ecosystem across Canada. We presented Deloitte's innovation views and achievements at 19 strategic conferences across 10 cities to more than 2,500 business, government, and academic leaders.
So there again, that was used as an internal tool to educate on a certain innovation strategy that they were employing, and they presented that down in Texas. And so we got all of the employees together in a couple of different environments and pulled in footage from their Habitat for Humanity and intercut that with a lot of motion graphics. So that the balance between the graphics and I think the live footage worked really, really well, as well as reinforcing their key points for instruction value right on the screen. So in terms of a CEO profile, I'd like to show you one that that I like very much, and then we'll come back to interactivity.
Slid down, and the complete weight is put on these 2 little bones right here in the forefoot area. What we did is we took an encapsulated gel pack. And the reason this is so critical is it's like a waterbed. When it widens the contact patch, actually conforms to the bottom of your foot. Underneath, we have EVA, which is a suspension. We have a trampoline here, so the flex happens all the way through.
So what I like about that particular video is that the way that it was shot and the way that he was delivering his message was very, very authentic, right? It was, you know, he was obviously very passionate about his product. The angles were all off camera, side profiles, intercut, and then tying in the element of a product feature. Really gave his ability to demonstrate, gave us the ability to meet him as the CEO behind the brand, as well as bring together that and a product-centric approach as well. So I think that that's in that setting, in an environment where he's sitting on a leather couch and very, very comfortable, bringing all of those things together, it tied in really nicely with what they were trying to accomplish with the brand, while at the same time making it a very, very accessible. And then I just wanted to touch on a couple of interactive videos here. You've heard this talked about today. This ties in with the need to be focused on conversion. So when you're creating your videos, if it's appropriate, be thinking about how you can get your audience to engage with the actual video and move them along to go somewhere else. So embedding links that take them to another website, or getting them to actively participate in the video to keep it moving along. That's going to hold your viewers' attention. Here's just a couple of examples.
Blend Blender, courtesy of the people at Blend Tech. And what we are going to be doing is blending any 2 items you see here on the countertop, and then I am going to attempt to consume the results. How we're going to do this is we're going to use pop-up annotations. They're going to appear over the video. You click them with your mouse. So whenever you are ready, click on the blender to begin. So we've got some crunchy peanut butter and a jalapeno pepper. Let's throw that in. Oh, this is gonna be so good.
So that's having someone engage with the actual video to move it along. Enjoy his smoothing.
Outside, just hit me high, 'cause I'm about to crack.
Excuse me, Darren. I spilt something on your jacket. Sorry.
And then for something light to finish things off, using emotion and humor, which we talked about a little already, is certainly a really fantastic way to connect and engage with your audience. And so I've got a couple of examples here.
Our job is to make you better, to make all athletes better. One great innovation.
40 years ago, Jewish pioneers in San Francisco had an audacious dream for seniors to continue living independently at home. First, they created a day center for older adults at Mount Zion Hospital. Out of those roots grew Institute on Aging, now providing home care, health care, and social care to thousands of Bay Area seniors and adults with disabilities. We salute those bold pioneers. Their dream is our legacy.
Ons primaire doel is om gevonden voorwerpen zo snel mogelijk terug te brengen naar de eigenaar. We houden daarvoor social media in de gaten en de crew die na elke vlucht het vliegtuig checkt. Ik vind het ook wel heel erg leuk dat we natuurlijk een beetje hulp daarbij krijgen.
So of course, nothing can replace the cute factor, as we all know. So wherever possible, bring pets into the equation. Okay, so with that, I wanted to really wrap it up and just go to questions and have a discussion with you about, do you have any questions for me in terms of techniques for corporate profiles? Is there anything that you would like to share that you've seen or experienced that other people could benefit from? I know it's end of day. Everybody's pretty tired. Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming out. We're finishing a little bit early today, but I'm sure you want to get on to the next thing and cocktails and what have you. So I've really enjoyed presenting with you today, and thanks very much for coming.